Hello Goobers, it's me, your favorite Goober, and this is a not so very quick update for you today. Now, this is the 1 year anniversary of a little streak I've had going, and wanted to do something special. So you might notice this is not my classic Monster Hunter World background. This is actually a game called Forager. You can see it in the top left corner. I don't know why that's there, I think it's just the way the recording happened. I tried something different. Normally I just capture my gameplay like the PlayStation normally lets you do, but instead I pressed new recording and I think it puts a picture of what game you're playing in the top left corner, because that's not there during gameplay. So I'll definitely be more careful with just capturing the gameplay straight from the PlayStation and not via a new recording. That's besides the point though. As you can see, I have some gameplay in the background, and if it isn't clear already, the audio is being recorded after. Just because there was no way. There's a reason why this is not the beginning of the game. It's because I tried to record the beginning of the game whilst playing it and trying to do this video, but quickly realized that was kind of foolish, and I'm going to break it up into, I can just play the game, do whatever I'm going to do there, and then later I'll record audio, because that's really all these videos are. It's just audio. I just kind of had the Monster Hunter background because it was chill. It wasn't too loud. The menu music was just kind of nice. And I don't know, my character looks kind of cool. You can see my cat, Beerus. He's chilling. I haven't seen Dragon Ball, but I decided to go after Beerus for the design of my kitty cat. Fun little fact, I guess. If you're curious about my Monster Hunter Wilds cat, it's Garfield. So, yeah. Let's see. I've got plenty of little bullet points here. That list I was mentioning over the last few days that I'd finished up. I think I'm going to start with why I started these videos, right? These videos were birthed from the idea that I just needed to do something. And I wanted a way to hold myself accountable. And one way that I believed I could do that was through making videos and putting them out there and having, just random internet strangers knowing about the fact that I'm doing something. Kind of keeps me accountable, knowing that, okay, well, somebody out there expects me to keep up on this. Whether or not, anybody cares is not my concern. The idea that, it's out there in the public, it's not just to myself, I definitely kind of have been able to feel that kind of need to not disappoint in a way. Although it's more myself. I've never really felt like I'm disappointing a community, and I think I'm kind of grateful for that, to be honest. But yeah, I've been adamant about keeping myself in check and doing these videos every day. And, a part of that has been harder to do than I would have expected. There are some days where I just didn't want to do anything. But these videos tap into this personal need to, turn in an assignment at midnight because it's due. Right? That kind of stress that I would have in high school, or I guess really just all throughout school, is when I had something due at midnight, I would always get it done before I went to bed, and I wouldn't miss it, especially if it was worth a lot of my grade. And so, I tapped into that kind of stress response to just get it done before I go to bed with these videos. We'll get into that a little more here shortly, but I started these videos because I was very determined to achieve my goals. I have a lot of things I want to do, and I will get to those things, but I definitely was not doing anything day by day. Maybe I would come up with a new song idea while I was at work or whatever, or maybe I'd get a little inspired to write about my manga just randomly. But I wouldn't do something every day. there were plenty of days that would go by where I just play video games, hang out with friends online, and just do that. But that doesn't mean that I was ever trying to achieve any of my goals. And while I didn't mind that, because, you know, the daily life of that has been fine, I don't mind that. I wasn't fulfilled. I didn't feel good. I felt like I could be doing more. I mean, I've always had this feeling that I can just be doing so much more, that I can be so much more and achieve my goals. I know and I feel like I can do that. There's nothing inherently there to make me feel like I can't. It's just that I don't do any of the work to achieve those goals, right? And these videos were a way to hold me accountable every day to just take one little baby step, you know? You'll see day one is titled like day one, just do something, right? Because that was the goal, was to just do something, to just get me to do something that would, you know, enhance my life, you know, or get me closer to achieving the goals I want to achieve. But as we've approached this end of the year, I've really come to understand that I haven't failed in that aspect, right? I have succeeded in the goal of just doing something. But, right, it's too easy. It's too forgiving. Because the whole point was to take any step. It didn't matter if I took a big leap or the mightiest crawl. It was all worth it. It was all what I needed to do. You know, it was just a step. And a really, really good piece of advice is it's better to do something than it is to sit there and do nothing. That's just the truth. And that's going to forever be a truth. However, if you take that mentality too lightly, you'll end up with a situation where you're only really taking baby steps and believing that you're doing good. When in reality, you have to push yourself to take bigger steps. And that's what I'm going to try to be doing in year 2. I'm going to really attempt to hold myself more accountable than I have been, with higher requirements to upload a video. Truthfully, I haven't necessarily decided if I want to do daily videos again. I didn't mind them, but I don't really know. You know, maybe every other day, maybe, you know, when something big happens, right? Or when I do something. I didn't know if I wanted to do like a weekly format where I kind of just do an update once a week. I don't know. Although I do believe I'm probably going to keep the daily situation. Probably more like this, where I just kind of record some gameplay and then I'll record some audio after. And I think that could be nice, could be cool even. But when it comes down to that, right, we'll go back to the point I was making of why I make these videos and all that stuff. I succeeded, right? Like I've done something, but like I said, I'm gonna hold myself more accountable. And then I've had a couple attempts at making this video. This is usually as far as I get, so I'm trying to make sure I don't run in a loop here like a broken record. I think I've got all the points across. It'll be uncharted territory going forward here. Let's see, so, yeah, talk about that. Yeah. Yeah, okay, we were kind of leaning into what is going to happen in year 2. I think that's a pretty good segue anyways. I think that's a good point to go into. So, what am I going to do for year 2? In fairness, that's a pretty loaded question to ask because there's a lot to go over. So, I'm going to... Okay. So for year 2, I'm going to focus on quite a few things. And one of those things is going to be taking care of myself. A little broad, but it's really important. So one of the things I'm going to try to do, right, is cut out snacks. I am pretty bad at like binge eating and snacking. I'm not like crazy overweight. I'm very blessed to not be, but I can't keep abusing my metabolism. I'm getting older. I say that I'm only 20 years old, but still, like, I'm only gonna get older, and I need to start building some dietary habits earlier rather than later. And a part of that is really cutting down on needless snacking. Now, I'm not gonna like cut it out 110%, but I am gonna super heavily reduce it, because I don't need snacks, right? It saves me money, and it saves me calories to not eat these snacks. That's gonna be really important, because that coincides with some other things, right? Year 2 is all about really doing the hard things, you know, and taking the steps that are maybe a little more difficult to get to, right? And year 2 is about pushing myself to be better in many different ways. And a part of that is, you know, my health. But in a grander scheme, right, these videos and this, you know, series going forward is just all about me trying to better myself, trying to do more, and achieve my goals, right? That's really all it is. Sorry about that. So yeah, I'm trying to achieve my goals, and one of those goals, right, is having a healthier body and a better diet. So going into year 2, a few things I'm going to be doing with my diet is cutting out snacks. Like at a bare minimum, that's what I'm going to be doing. Like going into day 1, right, like I'm going to at least be cutting out snacks. That's going to be my main kind of thing. And it's a really big thing, right? If you're trying to lose weight and you're trying to, you know, take care of all that, one of the best things you can do is cut out needless snacking, right? The best advice to ever give somebody who's working on their diet and their exercise and their health and all that is portioning, but, you know, sometimes you gotta be a little more extreme. And cutting out snacks is maybe not extreme, but it's better to just cut those out entirely. And then once you're in a better spot, you can reintroduce them in a healthier manner. But yeah, you know, I definitely have a few goals related to that. So going into year 2, not only am I going to be cutting out snacks, I'm going to try to be meal prepping. And that's not going to happen right away, but today I bought like a rice cooker. I'm willing to do the basic, you know, broccoli, chicken, and rice. Like, I am willing to do that. I have no issues with it. I never have had issues with it. I can eat the same thing every day. I practically have the same habit I've had for like over 2 years now. Way longer. Like I can do the same thing every day and not get bored. It's not an issue for me. I just need to figure out a meal plan for a week, and then I can just turn that into a habit, and I wouldn't have to think about it. It's just like, oh, it's Monday, time to meal prep, you know, for the week. Boom. Monday comes around again. Oh, okay, time to meal prep. That's just like how I am, you know, like it's what I do. Just a bit of a goober, you know. So I'll be meal prepping at some point. I'll get to that. Maybe it's too much information to say, but like my family's on EBT, so I do have the benefit of EBT, but I don't want to start meal prepping because it's kind of expensive to start paying for my own food, and I would like to get a job first before I do that. And then also, it takes a lot of refrigerator space, and I'm not buying a mini fridge for my room. I'm just gonna probably, to my benefit, my family's looking at getting a new refrigerator anyway, and my mom wants a bigger one, so I was gonna just hopefully get employed sooner rather than later and help fund a new fridge, so that way I can have kind of like my own space in the fridge for my meal prepped food. Um, so food and meal prepping, not yet, not immediately. I'm not gonna hold myself too harshly to that standard just yet, but at some point I would like to at least figure out like a weekly kind of plan and then just repeat that ad nauseum. But a part of better dieting and that, cutting out foods, finding a food meal plan that I can stay consistent with. I also have exercise goals. So going into year 2, I want to get better at exercising, and I'm going to do that via starting small and working up. I think that's going to be the best kind of course of action to take. I'm not trying to get super big. I don't like that build. I want to be thinner with more muscle. I'm 6'3", so luckily for me, I can go ahead and accept that because I'm a little taller, I'm not going to get as big. And that to me is a genetic lottery pull right there, because big fan of not being huge. I've never liked that look, and yeah. So that being said, I wanted to get into more cardio, which I think I'm going to try to do cardio every day. Nothing too extreme, but like, every once in a while I'll take my dogs with me because they need it too. And I just don't think, because I want to do cardio every day, but I think it's too much to ask myself to take my dogs every day. I have to take them one at a time. They're just not behaved enough to go together. So that's kind of why I don't want to do it every day. It's like, oh, I'd have to take care of both of them, which is fine, but like, I don't want to spend that long on cardio. I want to spend like maybe an hour and a half tops, maybe less, just depending. Maybe work my way up to an hour and a half, right? Start smaller and just do it. Just get in the habit of doing it. I think that's probably more important than trying to, hour and a half of cardio. No, probably invest in some wireless earbuds, and that'll probably be the best investment of my life, frankly, because, if I can listen to music and just go on a long walk, hell yeah, I'll do that one thing where they're like, walk slow for 3 minutes, walk fast for 3 minutes, and alternate for like 90 minutes. Better than running. Or however that works. Not too familiar. But, I don't know. I walk fast naturally. That's just my pace. God forbid you go shopping with me. I'm an objective shopper, like A, B, C. I don't really browse. So, sometimes I just be fucking zooming. I usually go shopping with my mom, and she's like, bro, you need to slow down sometimes. I'm like, sorry, I'm just objective-based, man. I'm sorry. But yeah, no. I'm going to try to get some consistent cardio, and then I want to try to get into calisthenics. I don't think there's any issue with starting calisthenics as a complete gym beginner. I'm pretty sure it's like very, very much not an issue. Although I'm not familiar with that. As far as I understand it, it is totally fine to kind of jump into calisthenics first thing if you want to. So I think I definitely will. So yeah, that is kind of relatively it. Better diet. I'm going to work out. At a bare minimum, I'm going to try to do push-ups and some sit-ups like every day. Just kind of start small and then maybe build up to something more. Maybe start actually going to a gym. But I need money first before I can commit to a gym subscription. So I can just do some at-home basics, which for the most part, like if you're just starting out, you don't really need gym equipment when you're a very, very early on beginner. So it's kind of fine to wait, but a lot of this stuff kind of revolves around me getting a job first so I can get income going. But yeah, for now, that's kind of it. I'll be working towards better health, better fitness. What's next on the list? Dun, dun, dun. I think I'd rather put this one in the middle. Since I'm going to be working on my health and hopefully getting a job, one of the things that I'm going to be a little more open to is looking for a relationship. Who would have thought that, I get a little lonely sometimes? It's no surprise. I'm not special for feeling that way. But, I definitely would feel more comfortable putting myself on the dating market if I'm actively working on myself. I've gained a little bit of weight. I'm still skinny fat. Like, I can wear a hoodie and you would never really know that I'm a little chubby. I don't even know if chubby is the right word. I'm probably over-exaggerating by saying chubby. I don't want to give the wrong impression. I'm very blessed to have a nice metabolism. But I feel like I'm a little bigger, and a part of that has just been a self-confidence issue, right? When it comes to like not wanting to date, but also I'm just not where I want to be in life. I've been slowly understanding and coming to the realization that like I don't need to be perfect. I started out with like this need to be absolutely perfect. Like, oh, I don't need to date anybody until I can drive. Pretty reasonable. But then I was able to drive, got my license and all that, and I realized like even though I had a job too, I was like, oh, I still live with my parents. And nothing wrong with that. But I just felt like I shouldn't be dating somebody if I still live with my parents. In hindsight, I mean, I still do. But like in hindsight, like it's not that big of a deal. But yeah. Right now, I'm jobless. I haven't been taking care of myself, and I just don't feel like that's the kind of person that deserves anything. Emotionally, I feel like I could handle a relationship. Maybe it's a bit of a crazy ego to say that I think I could do pretty well at that. But I have confidence in myself that emotionally I could handle it. It's just that everywhere else I feel is just not at a place where it could be. And so, going forward, since I'll be working on my physical health, I'll be, doing a lot of things involved with that. Excuse the voice crack there. But I'll also be, exercising, and hopefully I'll be employed here sooner rather than later as well. I'd be more open to being in a relationship, and I want to explore that. I've had moments in the past where I was in a talking stage, although sad as it is, it might have been one-sided every single time, where I considered it was a talking stage. When I think of a relationship, I think of something along the lines of a very close friendship blooming into a relationship, but I feel like that gives the wrong impression sometimes, because like I actually like you. I'm not just here to be a friend, and I feel like I don't know. That's a whole nother conversation is my approach to that, but that's just for me to figure out. I don't gotta yap about that here. Ultimately, what I'm trying to say is that I'm more open to finding a relationship. I haven't used dating apps. I'm not fond of the idea, but it is a way to meet people. It is an avenue. So, no. This is what oh my gosh, gambling. No, yeah, it is an avenue that I would like to explore after I start taking more care of myself. But for right now, not yet. Not yet. I want to be a little more independent. I think... Yeah, this is talking about year 2. I do realistically plan to move out before year 2 comes to a close. And I think that's really realistic. If I can get a job, like, even within the first, like, if it unironically takes me another 6 months to get a job, if this interview doesn't go well, and it takes me 6 months to get a job, I would still be able to move out, like, realistically. My plan... Oh, this isn't even on the list anywhere. Okay, I'll just talk about this now then. I have a plan, right? So I want to get a job. And a part of that is going to be about money, obviously. But I want to move out. I want to be more independent. That'll be the next thing I talk about is my independence goals. But when I get this job, I have two things I'm going to do. Well, maybe more. I have ultimately a bucket list of items that I want to buy. I want to get a nice PC, roughly a $2,000 budget. I think I can make something nice out of that. Probably won't need a new one for a while. I want to get a new phone because mine is kind of fucked up and it's a lot older. I mean, all you need to know about it is it's a Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge. Yeah. I'm due for an upgrade. The back camera lens shattered. There's a pink line going through my phone. And this case is not even attached to my phone. I don't know how to describe it. Like, it's just broken. It's not even attached to my phone, basically. It comes off and... I don't know. It's not even a case, dude. I don't even know what it is. I just keep it there because it feels weird to feel my naked phone. So I just leave it there because the case feels more normal. I don't know. But it's fucked up, right? I need a new phone. Plain and simple. I need a new phone. And then I want to get some instruments. Keeping it simple, I just want to get 3 different guitars. String, electric, and bass. And, you know, if you're noticing a theme here, these things are pretty expensive. And the reason I want to get them all, and the reason I mentioned wanting to get all these things is because I want to do that before I move out, right? Another thing I want to do is I want to save up an emergency fund with about 3 months worth of emergency, like, fund, like pay, I guess. So I just take my monthly budget, triple it, and then save up that number so I can feel comfortable. And then, right, because I don't want to dip into my emergency fund, I'll leave that alone, basically never touch it. And then I save up another fund, which would be 2 months of rent for whatever place I'm looking at. And then whatever, like, I don't know, I'll probably save an extra $500 for the safety deposit. And then set that aside. And then save up for whatever they need for the initial, like, down payment to move in or whatever. Right, so I want to do all of that, save all that up before moving out. Because it's a lot easier to save up for those things when I don't have a fat bill to pay monthly when it comes to my rent, right? So before I have a rent bill, I'd like to buy a few things because I can buy them faster, and my home situation isn't like that bad, so I can stomach living here for a little longer, no matter how much I say I want to leave, because I do. Trust me, I do. It's not bad enough that I need to go, and so I'm gonna take advantage of the fact that I don't need, or I don't feel like I need to move out right away, and I'll just go ahead and kind of just take my time, relatively. I don't know. It's just important that I don't rush into moving out. It's just not the smartest idea. So yeah, that's my little plan for what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish my checklist of items I want to buy before I move out, so that way when I do move out, you know, I can already have those things. I don't have to worry about saving up in between large payments and bills. But this leads me to my last little thing. I have some, well, not my last thing, but this leads me to my next point of, you know, my goals for independence, right? I have some independence goals. I want to get a job. I want to take care of my own diet. Mom's cooking is great, but you know, I want to take a diet pretty seriously, and you know, I want to be self-reliant. I want my own place. I want, well, all the good stuff that comes with independence. I guess there isn't really much to say because I kind of already mentioned a little bit about that. So I don't know. I'm just trying to kind of carve my own path, and I'm just working towards that. I'm gonna be working towards that. I don't know. I don't really think there's much to say on the independence goals because it's kind of self-explanatory. I just plan on being more independent. Oh, it's kind of interesting. Which one of these should I do first? I have like two last things. One of them's gonna be a little longer. The other one's a little shorter. Actually, no. I'll leave this last one for the last point. All right. So, I've mentioned some personal goals, right? I want to, put myself in the dating pool. I want to, find a job. I want to purchase some things, save up some emergency funds and stuff like that. You've heard me say that I want to diet and exercise. Those are all goals. But those goals were not the ones that founded the basis of this video streak I've had. The goals that actually founded my ambition for holding myself accountable were these ones. I want to make a manga. First and foremost, like if I had to pick just one of these things to do, I want to make a manga. Another thing I want to do is I want to create music. I have a few album ideas. And lastly, I want to create a video game. I have 2 ideas, and just a little side note, I kind of want to make a movie. However, instead of being a film director, I think I could incorporate movie into video games. But I'll get to that here shortly. I'm pretty sure you can already tell where that might be going. But I've got a couple video game ideas, and I've got a couple of ideas for these other things. So, let's talk about those. This is where it could turn into a long yap, but I am going to try to be a little responsible. I don't want to go for too long on all of these things, as much as I would like to yap about them. So let's see. Let's just go. I'll talk about manga, music, and then games last. So my manga. I have 2 manga ideas, and I've only really been developing one of them. But I've considered making the other one as a test run, so that way, because I really care about the one that I'm currently working on a lot more than I care about the other one. So it's been interesting, because I really want to do a good job on my first manga, but it'd be my first one ever, and you can't, not really much to say there, because it's your first time, bro. So what's the manga about? Well, oh man, should I even get into that? That would be such a long yap. Let me try to find the cliff notes here in my mind. Let me try to find it. I think, yeah, okay, so the manga is going to be about a goober who is chosen by the moon deity. Right? She has been absent from the grand picture for quite some time. She's been very much missing. There was a royal family, and they were abandoned. She no longer blesses them. And that has been something that she did on purpose. And we'll learn more about why throughout the story. But I look forward to producing that manga. I don't want to spoil too much. But yeah, some shenanigans are taking foot, and our main character happens to kind of be at the right place at the right time, but they are also kind of the right person. The moon deitess takes a liking to our main character, and she chooses to bless him, and that kind of kicks off our story. And I think it's very simply put as that. A very early development. Like, I don't even have a name for this manga, despite how much I've worked on it. I just don't really know what I want to call it yet. But the story's going to be about, like, it's an elemental story, right? You've seen it before. You know, take Avatar: The Last Airbender, right? To me, like that's a quote-unquote elemental story. We focus on fire, wind, earth, and water. Like we have the basic four elements that you're expecting. I've got some things in there that make it a little more unique. But another thing that makes it a little more unique than just that is the fact that there are two brand new elements that I have in the world, not like new at all to us, but like in the world of my story, there's two emerging elements. Two new deities are born, and that would be gravity and electricity. And then a little thing to make them more unique as well is there are subtypes. There's one subtype per element. It's kind of just like a hard rule that I've had set when I first started developing the subtypes. But yeah, I don't want to get too far into talking about that because that could be very bad to spoil everything. So I'm going to be more particular. A little note that I have in my list here is that I'm going to try to be a little more serious about learning how to draw. I want to dedicate more time. I think I'm going to cancel the 3 drawings a week because I don't think that's going to sustain my interest of drawing, but I am going to figure out a way to dedicate myself more seriously to learning how to draw. I don't think it's unfun. I really love seeing improvement in my abilities, and I've sat through every Souls game. Like I can get good and beat a boss, and I feel like that can logically be applied to getting good at a skill, right? I can sit through the bad. I've proven to myself that I am very capable of doing that. So, yeah. I'm going to be a little more serious about learning how to draw, but that might come at the cost of drawing less often. But I do like drawing. I like what I do draw now, and I know that it's not going to burn me out to kind of hunker down and focus on improving. So, yeah, there's a little note there. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is the other manga idea I had. It's a little different. If you can't tell, I really like the moon. So this universe is all about the moon, and there's different like types of powers, and they're all correlating to the moon. There's probably plenty of things I can learn about the moon through various religions. There's plenty to learn through various like mythologies and stuff like that, and plenty of things, right? But the concept is this, right? It's all based around the moon, my power system, and so there's different things that are involved. So, for instance, right, like a blood moon, it's all about like blood powers, and so you have like on your hand, every different finger has like a location for when you awaken powers for a specific like thing regarding the moon. So for instance, if you awaken like the blood moon powers, you'd get like a little like tattoo marking on I don't know, let's just say your right ring finger. Let's just say all the symbols are on the right finger. You awaken, your blue moon powers, your ability to control like water and stuff like that. That'll be on your index finger, right? Maybe the super moon, which would be like an enhancer to all your powers, would be like on the back of your hand. And then like, maybe the dark side of the moon would be on like your palm. And then, maybe the harvest moon would be your pinky, right? Like stuff like that, right? And if you're curious, dark side of the moon would be powers relating to like shadows and stuff like that. And then harvest moon would be kind of earthy related. So, stuff like that. It's just like it's a power system based around the moon. It's way less developed because I just haven't put any time into it. I haven't been interested in it because I've just been focusing on the other manga that I have been making and working on. I don't know. I still like it. It's another concept that I've had, but it's not something that I've put any thought or time into because I just care more about the other one, like I said. Um, so yeah, nothing much more to mention on that, to be fair. So there's the other manga idea that I've had. I think it's, it's whatever. But lastly, I have some. Well, no. I don't know. I got nothing else to say. Moving on to music. What I plan to do there. I plan to, put simply, make a couple albums. I've got 2 albums. I don't know how many singles I can make. In my notes app, I have many, like sentences or things or whatever to kind of just like kick me off on making a song. My phone has like no space, so when people try to tell me that, oh, you do have the ability to make music right now, I just don't really think I do. I don't have any space on my phone. I can't like do anything about that. It's like whatever. And the reason that people say that is because I don't feel like I can start making music until I have some instruments and a computer. I know that's not necessarily true, but it just kind of feels true. And so I'm gonna wait until then. So I've got plenty of ideas for like songs and stuff, but over the last, year and a half, I think is, yeah, I think over the last year and a half, I've been very like interested in. No, it's been less than that. Over the last like maybe like 10 months. That sounds more right. Yeah. Over the last like 10 months, I've been more interested in creating some albums. I've got 2 album ideas. One of them is a very personal album called Mr., right? And it's in the style where it's just like Mr. and then insert a word here. So for instance, Mr. Nobody, Mr. Maybe, Mr. Dreamer. Those are some song titles that I have. And they're all about different parts of me and my personality. So take for instance, right, like Mr. Dreamer. It's about me dreaming, right? It's about me being a dreamer. No, not like Hollow Knight. I am not cursed to eternal sleep to seal away the hollow vessel. Okay, that's not me. But like I dream a lot. I have a lot of ambitions, and I daydream a lot too. I don't really know which one I'm gonna focus on. Probably both, to be fair. Probably both. But I've just like I dream, and a song is gonna confront that. And this album, Mr., is gonna be very, very much personal. It's gonna be something that kind of targets every little aspect of me and talks about things that maybe I'm conscious about, or maybe I'm trying to do better at. It's all meant to just kind of get me personal, right? It's a very personal album, and it's an original album. And that point will make a little more sense here very shortly when we talk about my second album idea. This second album idea is 2 things. It's an appreciation album for a bunch of different artists that I enjoy, but it's also an album that is going to challenge me to produce a bunch of different music in a bunch of different styles. So what do I mean by that? Well, I have an album idea, and I called it Mr. Just kidding. Imagine 2 of the same album names. No. I actually called it Ditto Mimicry. And it's about appreciating a bunch of different artists and their style, but it's also about copying them as closely as I possibly can. Like, it is supposed to just be me copying them. Not like word for word, bar for bar, but taking their music and doing my best to try and, how do I put it? Like doing my best to replicate their style, the way they say words, the beats they usually have, and it's all about copying everything about them, from their style, the way they say words, the kind of music that they create, the genre that they're a part of. And I've got a plethora of different artists that I'd like to emulate, if that's the right word. And yeah, I like to call it my least original album idea, because it really is just about copying artists' styles and all that stuff. I know it's not like the worst thing in the world to do, but usually when people make a cover of a song, they're not trying to sing like the artist, it's just them singing a song. But for me, I'm gonna try to really like sing like the artist. You know, how would they say words? How would they you know, have a beat produced? What kind of thing could I expect from that? I'm kind of going in circles here, so I'll bring this point to an end here. Like, I'm just kind of here to copy them, right? It's simple as that, really. Nothing much more to mention in that regard. Like, I am just kind of here to copy. Be a little bit of a copycat. That's why I call it ditto mimicry, because I'm just here to mimic everything about them. It's an original song with original lyrics, original everything like that, but the core, the soul of the song is not original, right? Because it's just copying the artist and their style, the beats, but everything else would be original. You know, it'd be a dream come true to have a couple artists, you know, come and sing that song, right? For instance, one of the artists that I really, really enjoy, who's really inspired me, is Your Neighbors, and then another one is like Hannah Vu. It'd be a dream come true if either one of them could sing their song, right? Like, oh, a cool thing too is every song, right? The album is named Ditto Mimicry, but every song is named after the person whose style I'm trying to replicate. And so, you know, you'll see a song titled Hannah Vu or a song titled Your Neighbors, and it'll be in their style. They're kind of their vibe, you know? So that's kind of the point of that album. I'm excited to make it because it is going to challenge me. There's a plethora of genres, and I even have to learn some, I believe, yeah, I have to learn some German, because I'm going to try to copy Electric Callboys style. They're not like the craziest inspiration, but this album isn't just supposed to be for artists that like I love. I enjoy some Electric Callboy, but I would love to challenge myself to A, learn a little bit of German, and B, if you've listened to any of their music, I'm gonna have to learn to do shit with my voice I don't think I could do for a while. Lots of training there. I forget what the genre is called, but yeah, it's loud, that's for sure. I don't know, I think it's neat. I think they're neat. I would love to challenge myself to make music styled after them. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be cool, man. So, I think that'll be fun. Definitely. Let's see. No more music things there. Like I said, I have a truckload of song ideas just sitting in my notes app that are either a couple sentences long. There are some that are way longer than that, but you know, you'll find things that are very, very short. But plenty of ideas for me to come back to, I guess. Plenty of, I guess, singles. They're not meant to be styled after anybody. They're just kind of songs that I can create when I get to the point of making music. So I guess, yeah, there's that to mention too. But moving on to the next thing, games. I've got some games ideas. So the first one that I had was inspired by my love for Dark Souls and doubly my love for Lies of P. Like, the Souls games are great, but man, Lies of P is just like my favorite. And then you put the Overture DLC in, and man, oh man, I love that. I eat that up, bro. So cool, so cool. Loved every second of it, enjoyed it all. Love the world, the music, bro. The music discs in that game that you can go and collect. Man, there's some good tunes. What you know about Lucerne, bro? Let me tell you about it. Super good. Love it. But anyways, I love Souls games. Not counting Night Rain, because I haven't played... I own it, but I haven't played it. My friends consider it a Souls game, so they wouldn't say this is true. But if we don't count Night Rain, I have platinumed every single Souls game. Not every version of every Souls game. I'm not clinically insane, but I've platinumed every Souls game. So, you could say I like them, right? I platinumed Lies of P, obviously. And I love those kinds of games. And I was inspired. The reason I brought up these games was because I've been inspired, right? So, let's take, for example, Lies of P. If you had to simplify it, which doesn't really do it justice, but if you had to simplify it, right? It's fair to say that it's, you know, Pinocchio Dark Souls. Doesn't do it justice, but still, Pinocchio Dark Souls, right? But here's the thing. I want to do something that would be chess Dark Souls. Now, I don't really have too many ideas. I think it would be more Sekiro styled, and Lies of P for that matter, where you follow a main character. There's still some customization to combat, but like, you know, you follow a character that is set. You don't customize a character, you don't select a class, you just play as a character. Now, you would be a pawn, obviously. Come on now. So, you might see where this is going, but just think about it. A pawn, once it reaches the end of the board, can be turned into any piece. Now, most people pick a queen, because it's the best piece, with probably a few edge cases where the person picks a knight, for whatever reason. I'm not an expert on chess, so maybe that is complete baloney and bollocks, but, like, you know. You'd be a pawn, and when I think about that idea, right, where it's like, okay, you're a pawn, maybe you should be allowed to have characters that you can customize and make. Turn your pawn into anything you want. Learn different fighting styles, or start with different fighting styles. Maybe start with a knight fighting style, you know, start with the... Oh! Maybe that would be cool. Yeah. Where you start with, like, you can learn different styles throughout the game. And then, like, if you beat the game, you can start with, like, the challenge run, where you can be, like, the king, because it's, like, the worst piece on the board. You have to protect the king. I mean, that's what happens to checkmate. The king is in danger, and you can't win. Can't defend him. So you can start like a challenge run where you're playing as the king. Can you beat, I don't have a name for it, blank, 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 as only the king, you know? Oh, we are, oh, dang. All right, we're going to have to go into a part 2, maybe. I don't know. Hold on, let me check this out. I got to pause the audio recording. All right, I was able to extend, I had some more footage that I can put in to extend it to the full 59 minutes, 58 seconds. All right, so... You know, I had the Chess Souls idea, right? And I thought that'd be pretty cool. I thought it would be neat. When it comes down to it, I don't really know. I also want to maybe make a Metroidvania, doubly so now that I've enjoyed Silksong. I spent an hour and a half just completely theorizing a third Hollow Knight game involving Lace. If you want to see that, I will make a video dedicated to just talking about my game idea for a third game involving Lace. I think it's pretty fun. I think it's pretty cool. I'd love to do it, but yeah, I don't have enough time to yap about that here. So, lastly, right, when I talk about wanting to make a movie, I love heist movies. I love movies with heists, and I love when they win. I don't like watching a movie where the bad guys get foiled and the heist doesn't go through. I'm here to watch a heist win. I'm here to watch the quote-unquote bad guys win. I love that. I gobble that up. Oh, this guy must really like Money Heist on Netflix. I did. I haven't seen a lot of the seasons that came out, or Money Heist Korea, but is that even the right one? I don't know. I haven't seen them all the way through, but I can't wait to go and watch them when I have the time. But I love heists. And so, you know, I wanted to make like a movie about that. Another thing I like is Prison Breaks, and this is important here. I'll tell you why. For like similar reasons, I love when an executed plan happens. A well thought out plan. I love that. I love creative solutions to the situations, right? And I love watching them solve the equation of, you know, getting out and escaping, or getting in and stealing and getting out, right? I love watching these detailed plans go through. They're great. Love it, love it, love it, love it. So you can imagine, right? That would be inspired to want to make more, because I don't feel like we have enough of those out there. And so I was kind of inspired to make a movie. But then I thought about it, right? I can make a movie, but I could also make like a Telltale game. Think about it. It's kind of what I want, right? Just in a different format. Kind of a choose your own adventure. Have some more fun, interactiveness, get some replayability, have a cool story to show. I think it could be nice, right? So it's like one of two things. Either it starts out with, you know, you in prison and it's your goal to break out. You can make friends in prison, or you can break out solo, and that can affect, you know, maybe your crew going forward. Like, if you want to do the whole game solo, where you break out of prison solo and you break in solo, maybe you're allowed to do that. Maybe that's a difficult route to succeed in, but maybe it's still possible. You know, maybe you make a lot of friends in prison. You break out with your crew and you have some unique people with specializations that you can't get once you've already left prison, you know. Maybe you can find the hacker guy, you know, motherfucker who's good with like technology, but he's only available outside of prison. But let's say, you know, you're loud drill kind of get in guy like that. Maybe that option is locked out if you don't recruit him for your prison escape. So you just do not have a demolitions expert, for instance, right? If you don't recruit him during your prison time. So that can make, you know, interesting things. It'd be a longer game, I guess, if I did that. It just kind of depends on how you balance that. I'd have to learn so much about how to create one of those games. But, I don't know, it could be interesting. I just feel like it'd be fun, right? I love Prison Breaks, and I especially love heists, and making a game about that would be cool. But even more so, making a interactive, like, Telltale game about that could be really cool. So, that was my idea for that. It's not, like, super fleshed out, but it is an idea nonetheless, and I've been interested in it, that's for sure. So yeah, that's kind of it. That's pretty much everything I want to talk about. I'll definitely probably figure out more to mention. But I kind of wanted to leave off with the last point here. Content creation going forward. I don't have much time, so all I'll say is this. I think I might try to get into content creation. I want to get a PC first before I do anything like streaming. But yeah, I'm just going to probably do videos like this where I have gameplay in the background and I do audio. But before this ends, I do have to say, I mean, I've got seconds left. That is everything. Thank you all for being here on this journey. I will love to continue this. I can't wait to continue this. But with that being said, though, good night and good luck. Bye-bye! Holy crap, I have seconds left, so that'll be it. That'll be it. Goodbye!